I'm Eric Seifert, Assistant Curator and Historian at the Historic New Orleans Collection, here in our history galleries to meet preparator Joe Shores. We're going to talk a little bit about the Sidney Bechet coat, which is on display in one of the galleries here. This space is one of our permanent exhibition spaces, and as such is a little different than our temporary exhibitions. In this area, we talk about a large theme, the history of the city, and we've broken it up chronologically into 12 different galleries. So in this gallery, we have a limited space to talk about the period between 1880 and 1930, about a 50-year period where a lot is happening in the city. In this area, I have selected a number of items related to the development of jazz in the city, which is an important part of this era. And so what we've done is picked a few different types of items which allow us to tell different parts of that history. Here we have a couple photographs of bands from the turn of the century that participated in the development of jazz, or were some of the first bands to play jazz. At the top we have a rare photograph of the Buddy Bolden Band. This is one of the prints of the band, of the negatives that exist for the band. There's only one photograph of the whole band together. So we have a copy of that, and Kid Ory's band down here as well. In addition to those, we have Alphonse Picqueu's clarinet here, which really helps add a little presence and three-dimensionality to the gallery space. It's good. We like to include different types of objects as much as we can, and three-dimensional objects add something to the space that flat objects just can't do, and they really tend to bring visitors to them. Joe, how are you doing?
Yeah, Eric, I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Very well, very well. I'm really thrilled with how this turned out.
Yeah, we are too. This was a lot of fun to make this mount. We always enjoy getting challenging artifacts to put on the wall.
Right.
We're glad that you picked these ones for us. We built this case custom in-house for this artifact. We built everything out of archival materials, and we even built the plexiglass box for it back in the workshop.
Well, it looks great, and I'm curious, how did you manage to suspend it like that?
We created brass mounts that are painted to hide so that they disappear from the viewer's eyesight. And we make them just as a person would hold a clarinet. And so there's a big plate in the back that holds the thumb.
Right.
And the artifact is securely mounted top to bottom, so it can't pitch left or right or forward.
Well, it really looks fantastic. Thank you for all your work with that. Do you want to go look at the Sidney Bechet jacket?
Absolutely. Let's go take a look.
I know you know Sidney Bechet and his work as a clarinetist.
I do indeed. Well, Eric, I don't know if you know this, but this is one of the first jobs I did here, big mounting installation. Wow. When I first was hired, these cases were in the retrofit of the reinstallation of the history galleries. And Aaron Greenwald picked out most of these artifacts relating to the story of New Orleans of this era. We tell from Mardi Gras, we have dueling pistols, medicines from the yellow fever outbreak, and then Memento Mori, fine china and dining.
So Joe, can you tell me a little bit of how you worked with Aaron, the curator, on this display to decide where everything would be laid out?
Right, it's a good question. Aaron came to us, this case actually had probably 3 or 4 more items in it at the initial layout. But once we take all of the measurements of the visual space, we begin laying it out on our work tables. And once you realize that there are too many artifacts, you negotiate with the curator as to how to best tell the story with limiting with the limited space available. And in this case, we have several examples of Memento Moris and hair art for remembrances of families. And the 2 selected examples, there was a third. These 2 were just better visually. They just looked nicer. Right. They were more stable. They presented an opportunity for us to tell the story without having to sacrifice case space, to give these objects a little bit of room to breathe on their own. And so here we just selected the best works available to us. We always like to say that if you see us do our job, we've failed at our job. We're trying to get out of the way of the artifact, mostly for visual interest, but also for allowing the artifact to tell its story. And so for these things, we try to create plexiglass mounts so that they fade into the background, so you get to see the edges of the china. For the small artifacts like Mardi Gras pins and the Ducals, we try to hide all of our mounting so that we get out of the way of the artifact. But to do that, it basically takes a jeweler's touch. We braze and torch everything together in our workshop, and then we have very small pliers, and we bend and turn and polish the finished products so that the artifacts are safely mounted, but also just stand out on their own.
Yeah, you guys do a great job. I really like too what you've done here, where you've kind of made this, I guess both of these have graphics in the background, and you have all these different little, those labels for the...
Absolutely, absolutely. And we try to create visual interest by standing them off the wall at different depths, and and being that they're reproductions, it means that we can mount them in any sort of way.
Yeah.
We just looked at what would be most visually pleasing, because all of those artifacts tell that story together. We then, using our art school backgrounds, we tried to create the most visually interesting space.
That's the artist's eye.
That is the artist's eye, indeed, indeed. That is our artist's eye. Absolutely.
Cool. You want to tell me about this this handshake medal before we walk
Daniel's
out and look at the jacket?
Daniel's favorite artifact. This medal presented an interesting challenge to us. Daniel Hammer wanted us to be able to see both sides of it. And with this mount, we figured out a way to hang it securely and show the handshake in the back through the use of this mirror and Mariny's portrait on the front.
So what's really cool is this jacket is actually something that Sidney Bechet would wear to perform in his later career in Paris. And we've seen some photographs of that, so we know he was wearing this jacket on stage.
It's great. You presented us with an opportunity to continue telling a story about this moment in history and this famous New Orleanian. And when it comes into our shop, we have to take in many factors into account. So we initially would like to have put this on a mannequin form, but we didn't have room in the gallery. And so we came up with the solution of making a large-scale shadow box, and we made the custom form for it, and we cut out the center of the form so you can see straight back through the jacket, to see the lining, to see that it is a worn and personal item. We built everything in-house. We have a custom mannequin form that I cut from archival foam. Man, it's a stunning coat. I was, as I was mounting this, I couldn't imagine putting this on and playing in front of a crowd. It's a very heavy jacket. I can imagine he was very hot while he was playing.
Yeah, he must have been. I mean, I think it's really neat to show items like this that are so personal. And a visitor can really come up and see and imagine someone like Sidney Bechet, one of the clarinet prodigies of early jazz, wearing this item. And you can see his size a little bit. You know, we were talking about the short arms and the wide, cut of the jacket. So you can get a sense of him being there. And I think that's one of the reasons we wanted to have it in this gallery and relate it back to some of the jazz items in the other gallery.
Well, Eric, this was a lot of fun working on this project, and we really came up with a creative way to display this. I'm looking forward to whatever you're thinking about next.
Yeah, well, we've got a lot of projects coming up, and there's a lot more work for you guys.
I can't wait to make you guys look good.
I'm sure you will.
Thank you.